Now, let's talk about FOPO. You have probably heard of FOMO. That's the fear of missing out. But have you heard of FOPO? That's the fear of people's opinions. Let's find out more about that from psychology expert Dr. Jo Lukens. Good morning.
Good morning, Susan. Another acronym for us.
Another acronym. We love an acronym. What is FOPO and why do we experience it?
It's one of these things that I guess when I first came across the acronym, I thought, oh, what's that? And then read what it was and went, I know exactly what that is. So I guess it's one of those things that some people will experience where it's an over concern with how other people perceive us. So now some people say this is an evolutionary thing, that we want to be part of a tribe and we want to fit in. So therefore, by default, it makes sense if I'm worried about what other people think about me. Do they think I don't fit in? But essentially, it's that fear of other people's opinions.
So what are some of the signs that someone is experiencing FOPO?
If I could put it more broadly, what I would say is it's often when you feel like you're being inauthentic to yourself. So what do I mean by that? Someone tells a joke in a group, everyone laughs, you don't find it funny, but you laugh anyway. You're worried that you want to look like you're being busy, so you check your phone even though there was no real reason to do it. Or you might be self-conscious when you're doing things like maybe with a group of people and you're ordering and you order according to what you think they want you to be eating. That sort of examples. I don't know how good those examples are, but it's that preoccupation with what other people think and then perhaps doing things that's a little bit contrary to who we are.
So are there phases of FOPO?
There are. So it takes up a lot of our brain energy, I think, this thing, FOPO. So we often anticipate a situation. So let's go with the cafe example I gave before. So you might, standing in the line waiting to order, be overthinking it and worrying about it, or you might be going into a conversation with someone and you're actually getting preoccupied with it before it starts. Then you're checking for other people's reactions and what other people are doing around you. And then you respond to it and you try to fit in with what it is that you're doing. So there's a bit to it.
It's this over giving too much weight for other people's opinions, essentially. How can that negatively impact our life other than being exhausting?
Yeah, I think exhausting is the start of it. And we can get quite anxious and quite stressed about it. We can worry about it. We can maybe even change our own behaviours in a way that isn't really what we want. So we can change our goals. We can try to fit in with what other people think, what we think other people think we want to do. It gets very complicated, doesn't it? Because the truth is too, we also don't even know what other people think. And then how much does it even really matter?
Yeah.
That's probably one of those questions that's useful for us as we're navigating through this territory, particularly if you feel like this happens to you sometimes.
And probably thinking of going through the years, when I was in high school, I probably had a lot of FOPO, and that's probably changed a little bit over time. Is there a way to learn how to put less weight in give less care of what other people think about you?
Yeah, I think that there is, and I like your point too, because I think 17-year-old me cared a lot more than how old I am now. So I do think aging helps for many people. You gain a bit of perspective, you gain a bit of wisdom, and then you start to learn to walk your own path. I do think that makes a difference. It's probably hard to say don't ever care about whatever people think, and would you even want that either? But I think there's maybe a bit of a Goldilocks level of that works for us. We don't want to overthink it. We don't want to not care at all. So somewhere in the middle.
I like the idea. I've seen a quote before about try not to take criticism from people that you wouldn't go to for advice, so that you're not just going, what does everyone think? Because at no point will you ever keep everyone happy.
Yeah, that is such a great quote, isn't it? I'd forgotten that one, but I've heard that one as well. And the one I like is not to let other people rent space in your head. We get preoccupied with what other people think, and probably they're not even thinking about us.
You're worrying
way too much.
So what are some of those strategies that people can use to overcome FOPO?
Yeah, I think one of the things that's really helpful for people is just to become self-aware again. It's our age-old response to every question, every topic that we cover. But knowing ourselves, noticing that you're about to order something at the cafe just because you think everyone else is going to be impressed by it. Taking a breath as well, helping to calm ourselves down, so we calm down our body and calm down our minds a little bit. Set your boundaries, say no, all of those sorts of things that can be helpful. And then I guess what it's also about is just really spending a bit of time going, what are my values? What is important to me? And is my behaviour now consistent with that or not? And that might help you to make some decisions in that area.
Very interesting. And thank you very much for that, Dr. Joe.
My pleasure.
That's Dr. Joe Lukens, our psychology expert, sharing with us about FOPO, the fear of other people's opinions.